going to switch over to our moment to kind of mark what it's been like living and working for the past 2 years in a pandemic. I'm going to start off by just sort of what I tend to do when I do any kind of more emotional, emotive, hard conversations. When I do trauma-informed care trainings, it's a do what feels right to you to take care of yourself over the next half hour that we're going to spend together. So don't hesitate to just log off if you need to, and don't feel like you have to say goodbye if you just need to step away. If this is a moment where most of you want to stay off camera, that's okay too. Feel free to share thoughts in the chat, and as long as it's within the realm of professionalism, all goes. We are open to any and all things that might be coming up, and we will have probably about 10 minutes or so where we can have an open forum for anybody that wants to come off mute and share. And just a gentle reminder that we are probably in a lot of really different places around this. And so someone may make a comment that does not align with how you're feeling, and just, be respectful that we're all coming at this from different places. I'm also just going to a little bit of a fair warning and an invitation to sort of show up how you are. I have yet to be able to do any of this preparation for this moment without breaking down in tears myself, and I can't guarantee that won't happen. So I will do my best. Please stay. We've got Leo Florge has joined us, the director of DCHS, to make some comments. We have a little slideshow and a short like a 1.5-minute poetry video that I think is pretty powerful, kind of captures a lot of where we're at. And then we'll have an open share. And then, as I mentioned at the opening of the meeting, we have Samya, who is a 7th grade student at the Northwest School, here to perform her original song, Home. So I hope you're able to stick with us. We have been through a lot together, too much. And I think a lot of us are really kind of bonded over the events of the past 2 years. Decisions that we had to make where we didn't have a whole lot of information to base those off of, the safety that we risked for ourselves and our staff, what we've witnessed, what we have feared. And at different times and in different ways, many of you have shared how tired you are. The toll the pandemic has taken, on your well-being, the sadness or the anger that you have felt. And you've also shared gratitude for your colleagues and your clients, inspiration in the work that we've accomplished together and in such quick turnaround, and pride in our ability to keep all these services open and available to people, and honestly keeping them safer. I think many of you know I spent the first 1.5 years of this pandemic working alongside you at Public Health in the Healthcare for the Homeless Network. And I was one of the people that asked for your trust. And I asked you to make huge changes. And hopefully I helped to support you through that in some way. And so I say this, and I hope you can really, really hear it. I know in a way that other people don't know that the work you did and the sacrifices that you've made have saved lives. We haven't had the opportunity to pause or reflect over the past 2 years because we're still in it. And some of us are not really ready to do that. Or you might be like me and you have tried, it becomes too overwhelming. So our hope for today is that we can observe and acknowledge the significance of these past 2 years, recognize the ability of the difficulty of what we've done together, and if you're open to it, able to do it, want to do it, a brief moment of reflection. And I have found that dipping my toe in the water has been helpful, and then I have to put the boundary back up. So we want to start by just taking a moment to honor not only the lives that have been lost, but the loss of our physical and our mental health and the loss of our community and our connection. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to hand it over to Allison to introduce Leo Flor.
Thank you very much, Jody, and thanks to everyone who's able to be here today. And I want to acknowledge there are definitely going to be some people who watch this after we close this meeting today. And I appreciate that that we are also able to do everything we can when we come together every month at these meetings to hold on to and recreate and reimagine what the community and solidarity that we create together looks and feels like. As we held that moment of silence in my neighborhood, an ambulance went by and I thought, oh, that's sort of what it feels like. We're trying to hold and acknowledge, and we are still in a state of emergency. So we know that that's not simple. And as I spoke to Leo to ask if he would join us at our meeting today, I said, you know, we're engaged in a balancing act, as Leo well knows, of acknowledging and recognizing the loss and genuine, truly unprecedented difficulties for many of us, and the strength and the accomplishments of individuals, organizations, communities, and our broad region. And I am so grateful, Leo, that you joined us this morning. I have found myself saying to many people, we have experienced the best and the worst of people and the best and the worst of government. And really without fail, our partners at King County have deepened their partnership with us as providers and advocates and as human beings in this crisis. From the very first call that I got from Hedda McClendon asking me to pull together an emergency weekend meeting of the main congregate shelter providers to today. Your communication and your partnership has been remarkable, and we really thank you, Leo, and your team for demonstrating what it looks like to work together in ways that we never previously have, but to draw on the relationships that we had beforehand. And so we thank you and your staff team. And I know that you want to also thank the folks who are here doing the work. So I'll hand over to you. Thanks, Leo, and welcome.
Awesome, thank you. And it might be damning with faint praise to say the best of government, but we'll take what we can get. So for folks I haven't had the chance to meet, and fortunately I've had the chance to meet many of you. My name is Leo. I use he, him pronouns, and I have the privilege of working for the government at King County in our Department of Community and Human Services. And if I say nothing else, and I will say this several times, I do think that the primary thing that I would like to convey is a level of gratitude and appreciation for you and for the people that you work with and for the people that you serve, that's really hard to sort of verbalize. And so I'm hoping you can like feel the Care Bear stare, coming from me through the screen to you, because it has been a hell of a 2 years. And just a real quick appreciation, I was in the room a lot of the time with Jody on the government side very early on. And you know this, but if you don't, confirmation that you've got in Jody a tremendous leader and public servant who was there at 8 o'clock at night and 4 o'clock in the morning and donning and doffing so she could go into places, and was really, I think, doing extraordinary work, and would not rest if there was a thing that we could do that would help you all out in the field. So thanks to Jody for that. A little bit of a angle you might not have expected. Before I worked in human services, actually, I was in the Army for 8 years. And a thing that I learned in the Army is that it's really important to understand and sort of sit with trauma in a way that allows you to experience it, but also allows you to sort of learn from it, grow from it. And that is, I think, one of the hardest things in a traumatic experience is how do you have it be a thing that marks you, but then can become helpful with time, as opposed to a thing that can cause disorder. And we see that trauma can do both of those things in our community. And one of the things that I think I learned in that particular type of trauma that we experience in that context is that it's really easy for people to focus on what they haven't done or what is yet to do. And that is almost the nature of people who do the work that you do. But I hope that you would accept an invitation to also focus on what you have done and who you have helped. And just to say this, you hear this a lot, and it almost like goes in one ear and out the other, unless you actually pause and think of the magnitude of it. But there are people who are alive today who would otherwise be dead, but for what you have done. And I don't think it's one person or two people. I think it is hundreds of people. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because when I look at the magnitude and the amount and the duration of what you have done, you have helped thousands of people be safer over the course of the last 2 years. And that's a big damn deal. So time number 2, thank you for that. I hope that you will allow yourself momentarily to feel some measure of pride in having played a role in people literally being alive today. So to get specific about a couple of things, like we invented new forms of shelter, which actually just look surprisingly like housing. So really didn't invent anything at all. But we invented this, and the agility with which people on this call in your organizations made changes under tremendous uncertainty is a thing that I hope that you'll be proud of for the rest of your life. The ability, if you will remember, people were like wiping their apples down from the grocery store because they had no idea if eating that apple would kill them. And you all had bandanas, or not even that, around your faces in shelters, caring for people because that's what you thought and knew and felt was important at the time. That's a level of risk. It's a level of sacrifice that I think means something. And I want to just observe the fact that I think that I know that was happening and that was true. You were coming back home and wondering if that put the people that you live with at risk. We didn't know that. There was a thing about tigers getting COVID. Like, am I putting my cat at risk by coming home? So that level of sacrifice, I think, is really important to mark. And I want you to know that, at least at my level of government, however you want to characterize that, I know that you did that. I see that you did that, and that matters. Talk is cheap. And so what do we do about that, I think, is the conversation now. But we can start with the fact that matters. We have also started to transform our system because of what you all have done. It is now normal to say that congregate shelter is bad. 2.5 years ago, we were trying to fit as many people into as few places as possible in as inoffensive of a location as possible. Fast forward to right now, I was in a meeting with Karina the other day, Like, we are putting new single room housing next to schools because people should live next to schools. We are doing it in 5 new cities across King County that never had permanent supportive housing before. And I am convinced that none of this would be possible but for the fact that we were able to show that when we acted, we did things that kept people safe, and none of those worst case scenarios actually came to pass in any of those communities. So the action, the sacrifice, the agility that you have embarked upon not only saved lives, but I think is transforming the future of what our work will look like going forward. We passed a sales tax in the middle of the worst recession since the Great Depression in order to buy 1,600 units of permanent supportive housing in 2 years, because we were able to look at what we did in hotels with DESE, the Sophia Way, Catholic Community Services, the Salvation Army, and say, it works. You just have to do it. I can go on and on and on. I think I'm probably past my allotted 5 minutes, but if I can say it for the 3rd time, 1, thank you. You have made a difference. It has come at a cost, but you have made a difference. 2, people are alive today because of you. And 3, we are changing the way that we're doing this work going forward because we have proved through action what is possible, and it makes everybody else's talk feel cheap. And then the 4th thing is, I recognize that I have a responsibility to acknowledge the sacrifice with more than just words as we go forward. And so we are looking at things, and Allison is a huge leader on this. How do we improve pay in this sector? How do we improve supports for people who are doing this work? How do we make it so that people, when they say first responders and nurses and people who care for unhoused folks in our communities, that is a normal combination of words? So that is my obligation going forward. Thank you for meeting yours to date. And thanks for a chance to say hi and to say thank you for the 4th time.
Thank you so much, Leo. And thank you for being a true partner and a true leader, and for giving me an appreciation of what Army training means. And thanks for also always holding yourself and your government colleagues accountable to be good partners with the community on all of the above, and on directly grappling with the racial disproportionality of who experiences homelessness, and in many cases of who our frontline staff are. It's really deeply important to have you here, and I think your words are really resonant with many people, and as you'll see in the chat. Jody, I'll turn things back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Leo.
Leo.
Stick around if your time permits.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here and saying those incredibly kind and wonderful words to this community. We have a little slideshow and then the video of Tracy K. Smith, Poet Laureate. So I am going to move right on into that. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the Poet Laureate video as well.
An old story. We were made to understand it would be terrible. Every small want, every niggling urge, every hate, swollen to a kind of epic wind, livid the land and ravaged like a rageful dream. The worst in us having taken over and broken the rest utterly down. A long age passed, when at last we knew how little would survive us, how little we had mended or built that was not now lost. Something large and old awoke. And then our singing brought on a different manner of weather. Then animals, long believed gone, crept down from trees. We took new stock of one another. We wept to be reminded of such color. Thank you.
Well, I hope that this was a moment, like we said, for you to take a minute, reflect, remember, be in community. Maybe it's just that dip of a tiptoe into the water of whatever processing or healing you might need to do. I am just truly thankful and really grateful to be doing this work with all of you. We have a couple minutes before we move on to our performance, if anybody has anything they want to say or share. And perfectly okay if you don't. Allison did throw the text of the poem into the chat, and we can send that out as well. I appreciate that this has been helpful for some of you that are throwing that into the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Allison to introduce our incredibly special guest. So Allison, please take the floor.
Thank you so much, Jody. And thank you everyone for sharing this time with us. We are going to take different pieces of inspiration and comfort, I think, from this last section of our meeting, and I hope that it's nourishing. I feel that as well. I love our community because people share all kinds of wonderful pieces of information and ideas and creativity with us. And someone sent me a link to say, have you seen this song? And it was a link to a page at the Northwest School here in Seattle of our lovely special guest here, Soumya, who is about to share with us. And what I learned from looking at that page and listening to the song was that there's a wonderful part of the curriculum that teachers at the Northwest School have developed about around the work and life of Woody Guthrie, the folk singer and activist and itinerant community builder. And the assignment that the teachers gave to the students was to write a folk song inspired by what Woody Guthrie might be writing about if he were alive today. what a fabulous assignment. And then I listened to the song, and I just wrote to the teacher and said, would you be able to please put me in touch with this student and her family, because we'd like to invite her to share the song with our members. And I'm so grateful, Soumya, that you're here with us. It's been such a delight to get a chance to meet you and your mom, and thank you so much for joining us. I invite you to say anything that you might like to say about how you came to write the song, or just to go ahead and play and sing for us.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd just like to say that the song, I've always, homelessness in Seattle is just such a big thing, and it's always just on my mind. And I realized this was like the perfect chance to say something about it, because I've always thought about it. I'm always like, I want to do something. And I realized this is what I could use it for. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. He sat on the corner side of Broadway, people passing as he's asking for change, wrapped up in a blanket full of agony and hatred, just hoping it doesn't rain. Saw her wandering through the park after dark, looking for some place to sleep, with her own 2 hands carrying a shopping cart, so much she couldn't keep. I watched in heartache as I thought to myself, what can a soul not deserve? When will everyone have a place of their own? When will everyone have a place to call home? When will we all have a place to call home? How many streets must a citizen cross till they can find the warm summer breeze? And how many sacrifices will we have to make till we can cure our man-made disease? The solution can't be just in the palm of your hand. There's effort needed to be put in. A man without a band and a woman with no land. When will everyone have a place of their own? When will we all have a place to call home? That's it. It's the song.
Oh, Soumya, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, too.
That was beautiful.
Right.
We might need to ask you to come play again at another gathering, and we might need to ask you to share the lyrics, which are so truly thoughtful. We have some man-made diseases to cure.
For sure. Yeah. I'll put the lyrics in the chat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're big fans. Sign us up. We're hoping to gather in person this summer when there's an opportunity to be outside together, and I think an open mic night might be part of that gathering. So we'll work on a date, and we'll work on booking you, and
we'll be there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for staying home from school to grace us with your beautiful song.
I think that was the easy part.
Yeah.
Oh, and we are at time a little bit over. I think we'll stick around for those who might want to be able to stick around, but we know folks have places to go, and we're going to share the video on our YouTube channel and on our blog as soon as we can, so you can share this with folks who might not have been able to attend today. And with that, we wish you all a peaceful, beautiful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.